Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, and London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, we love you in Canada and Africa, the Big C tribe, but there's no one we love more. The good old boys down south, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, on a beautiful June the 19th, 2020. Grando Deportes, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, this month seemed to be running faster than what I did when I was young. But I want to also say thank you to the frontline healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, first responders. Stay safe and help keep America healthy.
Keep America healthy. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars. Also, anywhere in the world, just say Google or Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear Welcome to the Show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic, and he will do his thing from 3,000 miles away. And I really appreciate the way things are going with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you got to have a smart TV, Big C, or you'll be looking at a still picture. I love doing the pause. Everybody's pause. I even heard a good old boy by the name of Paul Feinborn say we got to pause, Big C. You know how they always try to take our stride here when they're coming from the South. I will never pause on the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They are experienced, Big C, in helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Why is that so important to you?
Well, it's so important, Charlton, because of the armed services that protected this country for decades. And we think about what they get when they return home. They get little support of their own, Charlton, when they return to civilian life. And many of these great veterans have turned to suicide, a horrific disease that we have a pandemic of its own in the United States. We give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton, on our shows because we care. We want these veterans to be around for many more years and not taking their own lives under this suicide realm, as well as many young people in America, Charlton, also fallen to this horrific disease. But the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number is filled with people who care and are compassionate and can sit there and talk to you and not be judgmental about you and care about your problems and your feelings.
Very well said, Big C. That's why we love giving out the number 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net, and you can get some help. Also, very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, DirecTV, AT&T Uverse, TV 53, home of the San Francisco Giants. And when you reach out to them, tell them Big C sent you. The goal is simple. Recruit 100 real estate brokers to put their property listings on TV, just like McDonald's does it. Car dealerships do it, and sports teams do it. Watch real estate and TV work for you. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. For those of you looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. That's bigcsports.pacwm.com and get opportunities. Big C, today is June. It's called Juneteenth. We know it's June 19th. And a lot of the times when people think about it, I just appreciate the fact that we are free in the land of the free and the home of the brave. And I just want to know, what does it mean to you before we get into the show, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, as we look at the celebration of June 19th for African Americans in the United States, Charlton, too bad it's not a national holiday, which it should be. You know, as a country, we celebrate July 4th, the independence of the United States from the British. And you know, that it should also be a national holiday when we think about the independence of slavery from white ownership, Charlton, in America. That should be a celebrated holiday by everybody. That this alleged equality that we have in this country, Charlton, will never be complete until Juneteenth becomes a national holiday.
That would be very well said. And I think it's on the way to doing that. I still hear people that are today on many media outlets, they never even heard of Juneteenth, and they happen to be in media, and most of them Caucasian, but everybody can learn. I think there's a lot of things going on in the universe that's making a lot of people look at the man in the mirror. So how Juneteenth means to me, I was talking to my son about it today, and the fact that they didn't have to grow up worrying about Jim Crow. I was born in Jim Crow, right at the end of Jim Crow, and my son and daughter didn't have to deal with that. And so I just appreciate that they know about it too. How slavery started in America, 1619, the Middle Passage, to Juneteenth, 1865, to 2020, Black Lives Matter. I just appreciate, Big C, that all over the world, I think more and more people are paying attention. But when people say, well, why should it be a national holiday? After having been kidnapped and some were sold into slavery from their villages in what is present-day Angola, forced onto Portuguese slave ships bound for what Europeans call the New World, stolen from that ship by English pirates in a confrontation off the coast of Mexico. Some 20 and odd, they call them Negroes at the time, but Africans, Big C, landed at Point Comfort in 1619 in the English settlement become known as Virginia. There's a lot of people celebrating. I appreciate the fact that more people learned about it, and hopefully we can all go forward to form a more perfect union. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, as you think about slavery in this country, Charlton, the importing of slaves ended in America legally in 1807. But even after 1808, there were some 50,000 slaves still brought to America and sold, Charlton, because people did not care about the black lives or the law. And so they circumvented it, and the law was half of that anyway, so they weren't going to tell on each other. So as we think about the fight for blacks to get freedom in this country, Charlton, and you talk about reparations a lot. So, I mean, all of those slaves that were in this country prior to 1808, Charlton, that's the ancestry of America's blackness in this country. And if you want reparations, you have to seek all those people out and do an ancestry trace on them and give them reparations for the atrocities that were served upon them.
When you think about it, even with the transatlantic slave trade, I know slavery's existed on every continent all over the world, but a little bit more egregious in the United States. From about 1501 to 1875, Africans were seized by slave traders. They were seized by them. They were kidnapped by slave traders from the continent and were taken not only to the United States, but also to South America and the Caribbean and other major destinations. And it was all in an attempt to get free labor. And we know a lot of the times, even to this day, people wonder, well, what is Black Lives Matter all about? All lives matter. Well, not all people were treated the way African Americans were treated. But I want to ask you this thought. It is just your opinion, and we have our own on this beautiful Happy Father's Day weekend on Juneteenth. Why do you feel that many white Americans challenge black Americans on racism in America, and we happen to be the experts, and we just went over why, since the slave trade coming here 1619 to even now, and people still question. So how are black lives any different than any other lives? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, white people, when they challenge black people on systemic racism, they wonder, why do you feel that way? Because they don't deal with or have to harbor the same feelings that we do as a culture, Charlton. They can walk up and down the street and not worry about what's going on. They don't have to be walking down the sidewalk. We saw a couple of young black males in Tulsa 2 weeks ago just walking down the middle of the street because there were no sidewalks, and the police pull them over and arrest them for jaywalking. And so to deal with situations like that, to have your children put in these uncomfortable situations. There's a broadcaster on ESPN, Ryan Clark, who used to play in the NFL with the Redskins and the Steelers. His son and three other Arizona State University football players yesterday were at a drive-through window. They wanted to go in the restaurant, but the restaurant was closed, so they asked the lady if she would purchase the item for her since they were in the drive-through window. She was in the drive-through lane. This was a white woman. She said no. And so they approached the next lady, and the lady agreed to purchase the item for her. But the white lady said to the manager in the place that they were harassing and threatening her. And so he gave them free food. He gave the white woman the free food. And when the next came up buying the stuff for the three football players, he told them that they were not welcome at the restaurant. They needed to get off the property. He was going to call the police and have them arrested. because and the white lady who got the free food, as she was driving away, she told these three football players, "Thanks the N-word for getting me free food."
Yeah, it's amazing when ignorant people, they want to.
I don't even call them ignorant. I mean, that's an excuse for somebody.
Yeah.
To say that somebody's ignorant, these people are very clairvoyant about their thoughts. They put this together. If they're ignorant, they'd be in a mental institution. This is systematic how they operate. We can't cover for them by giving them a soft title.
Yeah, I'm not giving.
Racist.
Yeah. Go ahead, Big C. Go ahead.
That's a racist person, not an ignorant person, Charlton. That is a flat-out racist. You're either racist or you're anti-racist. You can't say that the person is ignorant because of their thoughts. No, they're very, very astute of what they were thinking, and she understood how she could manipulate the system to get free food.
Yeah.
So that's not ignorant.
Yeah.
She's a racist.
Well, some people are proud of being racist, but I say it's still ignorant. All life came from the African continent, from a dark gene people, and so when people don't know that, they are ignorant. But I want to bring up, I know we love sports, and sports and politics is all the same. It's like the air, and the air, it's day and night, it all blends together. Dallas Cowboys owner, one of your friends, Jerry Jones. I don't think your boat's as big as Jerry Jones' boat, Big C, but Jerry Jones really is the only owner with the weekly radio show, as far as I know. It never has a problem finding a TV camera, but he's been silent even on Juneteenth, Big C. They're down there in the state of Texas where people love football. They love sports, and they love their African-American athletes, especially when it comes to playing football and basketball. But he still hasn't said anything, not even about Juneteenth or about anything that relates to the players that have helped him become a multimillionaire on the playing field, even though he's an oil guy. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I think Donald Trump might have put him in the witness protection program because this is the longest that Jerry Jones has ever been silent about anything.
Yeah.
And ever since the unfortunate death of George Floyd, he has been quiet. He has not laminated in any kind of way on Black Lives Matter. And we look at the atrocities that, happened in the state of Texas also, Charlton, with the mistreatment of blacks. And actually the last state in the Union to find out that slaves had been freed. You would think that he would speak up, if not anyone else in that state, Charlton, knowing what the history of that state is, and the amount of players that has made his franchise great that are of black descent.
Yeah.
But Jerry Jones speaks volumes. If Jerry Jones was to speak up, the rest of the NFL owners would follow. But his silence manifests itself to let you know that the owners don't give a damn.
Yeah.
They really don't. They want the players out there to play. They don't care about their health. They're fighting in every kind of way to put these athletes in peril because these owners won't even get together for a meeting. They do teleconference. You cannot play football social distancing.
Yeah.
It is an impossible feat to do.
Well, it's a lot like Elon Musk. He told his employees if they want to take Juneteenth or June 19th off for Juneteenth, then it's going to be a holiday where they got to take paid. They got to give up the pay for that day. Big C, the guy who likes to put Tesla automobiles on the road. I think a lot of athletes buy his cars. Maybe they'll stop buying his cars since he doesn't care about Juneteenth either. But I even want to go down. We talked about the 13 states that were represented, the Union, the Confederate States. If African Americans get out and won those states, Big C, or even Democrats, they would have 170 of the 270 electoral votes. So the state of Mississippi, or some people say Mississippi, state of Mississippi, they removed the current state flag, and that was half of the rebel flag. And I believe that there's a governor or some type of athletic commissioner that said as long as the rebel flag flies, they will not have championship games down in that state of Mississippi, or Mississippi. Big C, your thoughts?
Can you spell Mississippi?
Mississippi. I can do it with my eyes closed, Big C. Your thoughts?
All right. Well, that flag came down yesterday, long overdue, Charlton. That's the last Confederate state to represent the Confederate flag at their state house. Half of that flag was the Confederate flag, Charlton, so it's been removed. Yeah. But also the two universities, which they're both state universities in the Mississippi, have stopped allowing that rebel flag inside their stadium, Charlton.
Really?
Which was a huge move. Now, when we look at the the conference chancellor,
Yeah.
when we look at his statement, that they will not be able to host any NCAA sanctioned events in the state of Mississippi as long as that flag is present. Now, they were slated to host the 2021 track and field meets at the University of Mississippi. So we're going to see how far they really want to go with banning that flag in the state.
Didn't Dak Prescott come out of Mississippi State, I believe, the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys?
Yes, he's out of Mississippi State as well as a lot of other great NFL athletes.
Yeah, I know that states produce a lot of athletes, but ironically, it's nice that at least, things happen slow. Like molasses, things are slow, Big C, and things are changing. But it's still, to me, and I mean, everybody learns at their own time, but when I heard some of our Northern California broadcasters that are in their 40s and 50s saying they never had heard of Juneteenth until this year. Well, even POTUS never heard of it. Supposedly he never heard of it, but I'm sure he heard of it. But it's all fair in love and war. I want to ask your thoughts. One more thing before I go on. Does it bother you when you see the flag when you're down in the southern states, when you're down there doing your business, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it bothers everyone who knows what the significance of that flag is. And for it to still be allowed to fly in the United States is like having a swastika fly in Germany.
Yeah.
This is a scenario where you lost.
Yeah.
You don't get to hang a banner when you lose. You don't go to an arena and see, well, we lost the championship in 1873.
Yeah.
You don't see that. You see championship banners hanging from the rafters. The United States, if it is what it is and stands for what it is, there should only be one flag.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
And you can't have any representation from the losing team. They don't get to walk around with the championship ring.
Yeah.
They don't get that. So when you lose, you take that L and you walk away with it. You discard everything that was involved in it. You think about the Super Bowl, for example.
Yeah.
Before the game, they had printed championship shirts for the 49ers and for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
When that game was over, only the Kansas City Chiefs got Super Bowl shirts and hats.
Yep.
The ones for the 49ers, they discarded. They disappeared. They're nowhere to be found. That's what you have to do with every symbol of that rebel flag.
I think it was yesterday, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, took down that swastika symbol that Donald Trump had on his Facebook page, and he's claiming he didn't know that it was there, that somebody else got his account and his password and put it up there, Big C. Could you imagine that even Facebook allowed that to sit there for some time, but they don't take down Facebook from all the 13 states, southern states, Confederate states that still flew the flag? So sometimes people grandstand. They're more offensive at a swastika, which happened in Dachau in Germany, than they are at any remembrance of slavery that happened in the United States of America. That just crossed my mind. But anyway, life has to go on. NFL, Big C, 2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers assistant coaches tested positive for COVID-19. And I know it's happening all over the country, but does that surprise you? It shouldn't, because Florida's been spiking again, Big C. Your thoughts?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all, Charlton. This is just the tip of the iceberg when you think about that. And as you get more and more of these athletes together in particular places, you talked about the University of Texas yesterday, and I believe they had a dozen or so players
13
test positive at the University of Texas. You think about the University of Clemson, Charlton, today. Yesterday they had 358 athletes report to campus yesterday. 358. Today, 28 positive tests came back for COVID-19.
Wow.
Out of 358 athletes that entered the University of Clemson's campus, 28 have come back positive for COVID-19. Now, you talk about putting players in a bubble in basketball.
Yeah.
It's going to happen in all these sports, Charlton. When you think about teams getting back together, there's no way that you can hide from this disease. It's like a damn mosquito. You hear it, you just can't ever stop it.
Yeah, mosquitoes can be quite annoying. At least you can see a mosquito. You can't see COVID-19, Big C, but that's a good metaphor. So as more professional players are testing positive for COVID-19, in your opinion, what kind of problem does it create for the leagues? Because some of these leagues, they believe in POTUS. They go, what COVID-19? I think they tried to block the rally from happening in Tulsa coming up on the 20th, and the court said no, we're going to let POTUS have his rally, and he even said that people are going to get sick. But don't you want to get sick for POTUS? What's going to happen to these different teams, and when more and more players test positive? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, one of the things the media has not thought about, but it's called in the collective bargaining agreement, antitrust.
Yeah.
That's what the leagues are looking at, Charlton, is antitrust lawsuits. This is the reason why baseball players have not accepted any of the offers from Rob Manfred, the commissioner, because baseball has the strongest union. You got to understand, baseball surrounds itself with lawyers.
Yeah.
Not negotiators. They surround themselves with lawyers. They got a lawyer for every sentence on a page.
Yeah.
So they have the brains of the operation. And this is the reason why baseball has not came back and will not come back, because of the antitrust lawsuits that will come from the players against the owners, because you're putting them in peril.
Yeah.
That you're not concerned about their health. You're there for your profit and not the players' health. And so this is the same thing that the NFL is looking at, and the NBA. If it wasn't for the antitrust liability aspect of these collective bargaining agreements, Charlton, sports would be being played already. But this is the thing that everybody's concerned about, and the media's not talking about it, because that's the real money.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's where the real McCoy is, the real mucho dinero, coin, whatever they want to call it, Big C. Some people call it cheese. And speaking of cheese, Philadelphia Phillies, they've been rocked by COVID-19. Outbreak has 5 players that have tested positive for COVID-19, and they're closing their facilities until the outbreak is under control. And if that's the case, at what point in time do you start saying we're going a little bit too far into the ocean? It's nice to get back before the riptide pushes it out even further. COVID-19 is like a riptide, and when you have them closing the facility in Philadelphia, and they're saying, well, we'll wait until things start to improving. We were told they were improving. That's why all states started opening up based on the pressure from the Trump administration about a week ago, and now everything's spiking, and now they're getting hit because they've been out in restaurants and gathering again. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the Phillies are just one of 3 major league teams that have closed their facilities. The Toronto Blue Jays also have closed their facilities. So as you look at these teams closing their facilities, what's the options? Everybody talks about going down to Florida and playing down there because of the warm weather and it's
in
more
a bubble.
isolated. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It is spiking in Florida like crazy. So you got National League baseball teams that have closed down their facilities, 3 of them.
Yeah.
2 NHL hockey teams have closed down their facilities. You talked about Tampa Bay coaches testing positive for COVID-19. All of these things are happening in Florida, Charlton, and they're talking about putting the entire NBA in Florida also.
Yeah. Hey, well, they could always put the African Americans down there and see how they respond when you put however many players are going to be dumb enough to go down there. You wouldn't even go into a bubble that was filled with thousands of mosquitoes in it, Big C. You can see them.
Well, I guess the athletes need to realistically take a step back and learn some history. Because all of these white owners willing to put them in harm's way of COVID-19, you could call this Tuskegee Institute too.
Yeah.
Because what they did with the syphilis with the black military men back in the 40s, they're talking about doing that same thing to black athletes in 2020.
Yeah.
Putting them down to potentially get infected with this potentially deadly disease and see what happens to them. See how it affects the best conditioned people.
Yeah, and Tuskegee Institute, it was a 40-year experiment, and they were not allowed to know. Now you have multi-millionaire African-American athletes, 80% of them, and they have more money than they'll ever need for the rest of their lives. And they're still being convinced to go down there and do what the white man told them, because I don't know why. It just doesn't make any sense. Major League Baseball declined to comment on the implications of the outbreak on the 2020 season because they said it's too early to determine. I guess they don't know who Anthony Fauci is, one of the leading experts in infectious diseases in the world. Big, say your thoughts?
Well, this thing that is too early to determine, Charlton, my mindset, and I've said this months ago, I don't think sports should be played the rest of 2020. Dr. Fauci has laminated on that. To be realistic, we're all in the business that want sports, want live sports, so we have content beyond what we do every day. When you look at the shows that are struggling, and we're all talking about past tense of the game.
Yeah.
But I would rather talk about past tense of the games, Charlton, other than eulogizing some current player because he failed to COVID-19 because of the greed of the networks and the owners that the games must go on.
Yeah, well, you know what they said is fake news, Big C. So when it's fake news, maybe people don't believe that COVID-19 even exists. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk more about sports, politics, and Juneteenth. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are back from the Big C timeout, also known as the Big C pause. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio podcast. You can follow Big C Sports anywhere in the world. Just say Google or Alexa, play Big C Sports podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic, and he'll do his thing from 3,000 miles away, and I really appreciate the way things are going with Big C Sports. So we talked about the Middle Passage. And for people that don't know what the Middle Passage is, it was a passage from Africa to the western United States and also South America as well. And there were millions of people that were kidnapped and sold into slavery and came here, but there were also millions that died and were thrown overboard off the ships and into the waters of the Atlantic Ocean. And people go, why do Black Lives Matter? What's all this? All lives matter. All people were not thrown overboard into the ocean coming here for their free labor that they gave the country. I want to just step on something real quick, BC. I want to go into the world of golf because the PGA, Rory McIlroy called out some fellow European golfers who refused to travel to the RBC Heritage Golf Tournament. And McIlroy is one of the top golfers in the world right now. And I understand where he may want to just criticize some players. But there's also a player, PGA Golf 5-time Tour champion, Nick Watney. Now, he's the first golfer to test positive that we know of from COVID-19, and he's in self-imposed quarantine. He was also going to be at the golf tournament that McIlroy is saying that a lot of golfers should have attended. Big C, your thoughts?
No, he was actually at the golf tournament, and he played the first round.
Oh, he did.
And so, his playing partners, they have to go out and get tested for COVID today. When they found out today that he tested positive, they were going in after their round to be tested, Charlton. But this just shows how the pandemic is. And they talked about, they social distance and all while they were playing the round. But this is something that affects everybody. I know Watney's grandfather, CJ, used to play poker with him all the time.
Yeah.
And so, when you think about this touches people that you know.
Yeah.
It's not just an abstract disease that's going around, Charlton. It touches people that you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing because there were several European players that decided to stay away from the early events here in the United States due to restrictions placed on international travel. And even though players may have their own airplane, I just want to say this to our brethren.
McIlroy has his own airplane.
Yeah.
Those other guys fly commercial.
I'm sure. Okay, maybe they hitchhike on McIlroy's plane, or they know how to get guys that have private planes to travel across the pond, Big Z. But when you think about what just happened to Watney, and also down in Tampa Bay for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and some assistant coaches have tested positive, I would hope that the African-American athlete that's been hit hardest, at least our community has, don't wait until you get stung by a wasp or bitten by a rattlesnake. When a rattlesnake, before they bite you, I hear they always rattle first, Big C. Do you think that COVID-19 is rattling, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charles, you have to understand, you keep hearing these cries for play, is that, they have an agreement. You got to let me know when you've seen a press conference from the athletes saying that they have an agreement and their cry to play.
Yeah.
The play has been from the media, and that's what people are losing context of. These athletes have the ability, just like Jerry Jones, to command the microphone whenever they want to see one or talk to one.
Yeah.
They can get it. But this is the whole thing in the last 3 months that you haven't heard is the athletes going out there demanding to play.
Yeah.
And just like I told you, the antitrust, you think they're not aware of that? That's in the collective bargaining agreement?
Yeah.
The leverage that they possess? You're talking about athletes who have created generational wealth.
Yeah, they have.
When you look at the NBA, you got generational wealth where your family, your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids can be set for life with the money that you've made,
Yeah.
and that you still will make if you stay healthy and play another year or two. But if you fall ill and your career is over, what do you have? You have this in all professional sports.
Yeah.
This is what athletes do. They create generational wealth where they don't have to worry about that 9 to 5 every day for the rest of their life and their children's life. And so this is what they're protecting right now. So if you think that the athletes are unintelligent, that they're dying to play, they're trying not to die is what it is.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why they haven't played. If baseball keeps throwing you an offer, think about Tony Clark. Keep going back to, no, this is what we want. They've had 5, 6
Yeah.
different offers on the table.
Yeah.
And nobody's picked up a bat.
Yep.
And yet they're closing down facilities without anybody picking up a bat.
Yeah.
The NHL, the NBA, and the NFL are all in the same PlayStation.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, would you rather have someone thoughts and prayers with the family, or the several $1 million in the bank? For some athletes, hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank. NHL, Tampa Bay Lightning. You know, lightning strikes pretty loud, Big C. When you see lightning, there's thunder around it. Tampa Bay Lightning, they close facilities as players and staff test positive for COVID-19. And as you mentioned before, we're trying to see how many players want to get inside of a bubble where you don't have any fresh air and try not to get the virus. Your thoughts on Tampa Bay Lightning closing down facilities? Why are they closing down facilities just for COVID-19, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you got one common theme, Charlton, in all these facilities closing down. And it starts with Florida, okay?
Yeah. Yep.
One common theme, Florida. When you're talking about baseball closing down facilities, it's been in Florida. You talk about the NHL closing down facilities. It's been in Florida. You're talking about NFL coaches getting COVID. It's down in Florida.
Yeah.
And yet they want to take the entire NBA down to Florida. There's several baseball teams in Florida. There's a couple of NFL teams down there, Charlton.
Yeah.
And so Florida is one of the hotbed states that is really spiking in the United States. Their COVID numbers in the past week have been up 38%.
Wow.
38%.
Wow.
And you're talking about taking all of these millionaires down there and say, hey, guys, we're going to take you to a dice game, but the dice are loaded and the house is safe.
Yeah.
So you're not going to win too many rolls of the dice.
I think you just give out a hint on how you win a lot of your dice tournaments down south, Big C. But why not take them down to Mar-a-Lago? That has a big enough facility to put up basketball arenas. Isn't POTUS saying that?
Your buddy has not been down to Mar-a-Lago, Charlton,
Yeah.
in the last 3 months. He is now going to a golf course in Virginia.
Yeah.
He doesn't go to Mar-a-Lago anymore. And I wonder why he won't go to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah. It's too far, but he's trying to save on the jet fuel from Air Force One, Big C. It's all fair love of war. I do want to mention, because there's so much going on in sports, would you believe that Donald Trump said that the peaceful protesters are lowlives? Now, he's asking people to come to Tulsa for his event or whatever. He says the peaceful protesters are lowlives. I think they'd have to be Americans to protest peacefully, right? He says they're looters, so he's calling his constituents lowlifes and looters and anarchists. So I think he's calling them lowlifes, looters, and anarchists, and they will be dealt with if they show up in Tulsa while they're there. Not like in New York and California, Minneapolis, where people have their rights. What does it take for a good old boy to be told by the guy that you're coming there to vote for that if you have any type of protesting going on, that not only are you a lowlife, a looter, and an anarchist, that you will be dealt with swiftly, Big C? Your thoughts? What does that mean?
Well, Charlton, you have to take the context that he put it in. What happened in Tulsa 99 years ago?
Yeah.
99 years ago, what happened in Tulsa?
Tulsa
a
riots.
month from now.
Yeah, Black Wall Street
If you
destroyed.
think about that they're talking about dealing with people. That's what they did to the race riots that they had in Tulsa when they went and burnt down Black Wall Street and killed some 300 black people who were not bothering anybody, Charlton, just because they were white and they could do that and get away with it, and the police were involved in that. This is the same thing that he's doing, going to Tulsa, the same city where the largest racial atrocity against black people in America happened in one day.
Yeah.
The president is going to that same city and threatening American citizens. You know, even though he moved his rally from today, Juneteenth, to tomorrow, Charlton,
Yeah.
he put that out on Juneteenth, that he was willing to hurt American citizens,
Yeah.
to have them hurt. This is what the president is. He is willing to have American citizens physically hurt in the street if they march in Tulsa.
Yeah, and that means that the whites, Americans, that he's telling you what he's going to do to you if you get out of line. I mean, what line is he talking about? He had the swastikas up on his Facebook page, and now he's saying he's going to hurt white people who go down and march and act up. You know, he also said one more thing on POTUS, because I saw it was, I think, J.C. Watts, who's a part of he's a former congressman, and he was mentioning about how he still works in Tulsa, and he did not vote for POTUS last time. But even he was trying to say, well, I wish POTUS would have used different words. Sometimes when a dog's going to bite you, they growl first, Big C. You don't say, I wish they wouldn't have growled before they bit me. He's already telling people. But he also does not appreciate Dr. Anthony Fauci for telling the NFL his opinion about coronavirus. And it's spiking. We know that. He says that he will watch NFL players if they don't take a knee. Do you think those SOBs really care if POTUS watches games? Big C, your thoughts?
When you think about that, it's like one less remote control in somebody's hand. They never cared whether he watched the game or not. The NFL really didn't care, because when he tried to buy the Buffalo Bills back in the 90s, he told him, hell no, we don't want no part of you in our organization. Yeah. We're all legitimate businessmen. We don't need a crook.
Yeah, he knows how but he has shown his taxes. Hasn't he shown his tax returns in the last 3 years? Big C, your thoughts?
He's fighting in the Supreme Court not to disclose his taxes because, once they find out that he's been funneling Russian money through his bank at the Deutsche Bank, he has no place to run, no place to hide.
Yeah, well, he can go to Russia. He has private plane. Big C. Los Angeles Lakers NBA basketball announced moves designed to make positive social change. I remember down in the Staples Center where they had the Kobe Bryant celebration, and people from all over the world showed up to pay their respects, and it really showed how people can come together. Los Angeles is more of a melting pot. I don't think it's like any other place in the world. I may be wrong, maybe New York City, but New York City, people tend to be very segregated. I guess LA is too, but not as much. But the Lakers are announcing moves designed to make positive social change. But I think the way the Lakers have already been structured, it's already socially anyway. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charleston, social change is, you're in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It is a social melting hot pot of different ethnicities.
Yeah.
Los Angeles deals with this plight every day. Long before we've seen what has occurred now, this has been a staple in Los Angeles from the 68 Charleston to the 90 riots and even beyond.
Yeah.
So Los Angeles always has tried to implement some type of social change.
Really? Now, there's some talk that somebody had written a very nasty, I guess it was a Facebook or a Twitter page to Jeannie Buss, I believe. I'm not sure who it came from, but it said, "Dear," and an expletive that I won't use. "After 60 years as a huge Lakers fan, I would now say to hell with the overpaid N-word traders and the NBA. Go to hell and join blankety blank Kobe Bryant." And I'm sure that person is very proud to not even mention their name. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, no, his name is Joe, and his last name.
He didn't have his last name.
He was very open about who he was and his feelings, and this is why I always say you're either racist or you're anti-racist.
Yeah.
And it's like the preamble to the Constitution. It was written for some racist people.
Yeah.
Racist people wrote the preamble to the Constitution. It did not include equality for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's what so many people stand by. It's just like when I talk about the United States Senate. When you're 70 years old in the United States Senate, that meant that you sit in your grandfather's house and he used the N-word like he drank coffee and chewed tobacco.
Yeah.
Okay? He did that. It was a normal part of the conversation. And when you see it still being used today with the Negro epithet that people want to use on a regular basis and use it so loosely, and they're callous about it, Charlton. So to sit there and say we don't have a divide, there's no systemic racism in America, you're either racist or you're anti-racist. It's not covering for anybody. It's like you're either a good cop or you're a bad cop.
Yeah.
You can't sit there as a good cop and condone what a bad cop does because it makes everybody look bad.
Yeah.
That's just like a rapper who uses they're framing and denigrating lyrics in their song,
Yep.
they're not representing all black people. You either support him or you don't support him.
Yeah.
But you can't bundle him in with all black people if you're not doing that.
Yeah, and I agree. As even in our own communities, and we're no monolithic group, but some guys who use that word ad nauseum, they'll make millions of dollars and they'll go to an award show and people stand up and give them a standing ovation.
But you know who buys their music, Charleston?
Yeah, people who want to hear the N-word.
80% of the music that is sold by black
Caucasian
artists out
kids
there is bought by white kids.
Yeah.
It is proven statistically. White kids buy it. So is that the reason why they're using the word, or do they feel it gives them autonomy to use the word?
I think when someone says something that made a lot of sense, anyone can say, well, I would never use that word. Someone says, here's $50 million. They say, okay, I'll use the word, but I'll apologize later. It's all fair and love and war, Big C. So on this beautiful this Juneteenth, we only have, man, our show goes by way too fast. I want to get your thoughts. What's the true meaning of freedom and equality? Because that's what we're all striving for around the world, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, inequality, Charlton, is what black people have dealt with for 400 years in America. Freedom is what everyone strives for. Freedom to be able to walk freely down the street without being accosted or threatened, Charleston.
Yeah.
The freedom to move freely through any neighborhood, through any establishment, and not be judged. That's what freedom is.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, how often do you hear freedom being taken away from black people just because you fit the profile, you fit the description? That's lack of freedom, Charlton.
Yeah.
And when you want equality, you want to be able to obtain the same thing that everyone else obtains based on your economic worth.
Yeah.
And being black, you're not always able to do that. You're redlined in neighborhoods. It's not for sale. You go in for a job interview. Oh, well, that position's been filled already. Once they see your complexion.
Yeah.
That's what equality is, Charlton. And America has never achieved equality. Just because you make a few black athletes millionaires, you figure that you're taking care of the population. Just because you elected one black president, you figure that everybody should be appeased. No, we want sustained equality and freedom in this country.
Yeah, I still encourage everyone, support our Google representative, U.S. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. They have a proposed Marshall Plan, should be signed by the next administration, Big C. I also want to, before we close out, NFL Network, TV Red Zone, it goes dark because of a contract dispute with Sling TV and DirecTV. It's affecting 23 million subscribers. I say the solution is give the millions of dollars to Big C Sports. Big C, we can do the NFL Red Zone. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charleston, everything is about money. You
Yeah.
know, players are holding out. Owners are not being paid. The league is not getting revenue. So why are you going to allow somebody to benefit from the content that you've created while everybody's not making money that's part of your organization?
Yeah, they got to make that money. And speaking of money, a good thing happened for the NFL football New England Patriots. The fans can skip the 2020 season, the ones that have season tickets, and they can hold on for 2021, all because of COVID-19, which POTUS must be really mad at the Kraft family because he's telling them they better play football anyway. There's no such thing as COVID-19. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, like I said, I'm suspicious whether professional sports, even collegiate sports, are going to be played this year. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they're not.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see all these young men, Charlton, putting their lives in peril, whether they're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever.
Yeah.
They're Americans. And I don't want to see them putting themselves in peril for the entertainment and enjoyment of somebody else who is going to be making millions of dollars, and they're potentially putting not just their health, but their family health. You think about a college player, Charlton. Parents come to games. Aunts and uncles, grandparents come to games.
Yeah.
And not just football. We talk about the girls' sports, the ladies' sports.
Yeah.
Volleyball, tennis, basketball. When you think about the University of South Carolina, every one of their basketball games is sold out when the lady Gamecocks are playing. 18,100 people are in those arenas. Think about UConn, the Lady Huskies, and Baylor Bears, the Lady Bears down there. There are universities around this country, Charlton, where the female attendance at games is much higher than their male counterparts.
Yeah.
We talk about football majority because that's what drives America.
Yep.
But when you start talking about the girls' sports, also, we don't know what COVID-19 may do to a reproductive system.
That's true. That's true.
So there could be long-term effects on these young ladies from COVID-19 for the university and coaches to make money.
Yeah, that's what we ask people. Listen to your doctor, not your politician. And even at UCLA, the students are smart at UCLA. This time, we want an independent doctor to tell us if it's safe to play. I mean, you still got to watch Dr. Fauci in the news. And speaking of basketball, Notre Dame University touchdown Jesus, but this is for basketball. They're going to play an away game at a historically black college university for the first time when it travels on Martin Luther King Day in 2021. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is a great gesture by the University of Notre Dame to do a home-and-home series with Howard University out of Washington, D.C., Baltimore area.
Yep.
One of the most historical black colleges in the United States. And when you look at the alumni from Howard University, it will parallel any major university in the country.
Yeah.
But this is what, when you take the Catholics, the top Catholic school in the country, Charlton, that's making social inroads that no other school from a major, conference was looking to do. I give kudos to Notre Dame for creating this home-and-home series with Howard University and allowing an HBC to get a big payday.
Yeah, it's going to get a big payday. But let me ask you, when they go to Washington, D.C., Big C, let me ask you, if you were the guy deciding what kind of food they're going to eat, and we know coming up on Father's Day weekend is wonderful for a lot of fathers. Happy Father's Day to everyone in the universe. What summer food is delicious but a pain to eat, Big C? Your thoughts? Delicious and painful.
Well, I mean, that's the thing about summer, Charlton. When you think about summer and all the great foods that are produced for the summer months, I'm going to say corn on the cob, Charlton.
Yep.
Because the corn on the cob around here, some of it is so sweet it's like eating candy.
Yeah.
But by the time you slap all that butter and cheese on there, Charlton, and little cayenne pepper, oh, man, I mean, you got it splashing everywhere. Not only that, the little kernels get stuck in your teeth. You got all these splashes all over your shirt also from that juice that's coming out of the corn.
You put cheese on corn on the cob, Big C?
Oh, yeah. You got to do that. You got that mozzarella cheese that you, the Parmesan cheese powder that you sprinkle on there on top of that butter.
Yeah.
Man, you ain't been living till you had some of that.
Well,
put some cayenne pepper with it.
Yep. It's all fair and level war. You can follow Big C Sports anywhere in the world. Just say Google or Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear Welcome to the Show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic, and he will do his thing from 3,000 miles away. And I really appreciate the way things are going with Big C Sports. Big C, in the final few minutes, I just want to wish everybody a happy Juneteenth. And reach out to people that you love and tell them you love them. It's all fair in love and war. I know we're going through a lot of things in this country, but I'm encouraged, and I'm heartened by seeing people of all colors get together and celebrate a Juneteenth holiday that I believe no elementary school in this country has taught Americans about Juneteenth, but they talked about slavery, Big C. So I'm enlightened, and I'm hopeful about that, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is what you talk about when you talk about equality and freedom. And until you teach all of what you've done bad throughout the history of this nation, you can never have equality and freedom because you're holding back so much. Why are you feeling bad about the atrocities that you did that you don't want to open up and tell it? It's like testifying in court.
Yeah.
But this country is holding all of its dark secrets and trying to act like they don't exist, and then trying to wonder and figure out why black people have been so upset for 400 years.
And why we need the Marshall Plan. We rebuilt Western Europe and Germany. They can rebuild the United States of America, African American. I really hope that Juneteenth becomes a national holiday, and I really hope that everybody can start talking about it more when it's time to go into college or even high school and start teaching people about how to treat people fair. And we all want the best for our families, and we all want to go forward. Big C, back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charleston, when you talked earlier about freedom and equality in America, we still have 4 states that do not offer freedom and equality when it comes to Juneteenth and non-celebration. Charleston, talking about Hawaii, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Montana. They still don't believe in Juneteenth. But I want to thank the frontline healthcare workers once again, nurses, doctors, first responders.
Yeah.
Stay safe. Don't worry about a football game or basketball game being played.
Amen to that. We wish everybody from Big C Sports a very, very happy holiday season and a very happy Father's Day. May you enjoy everything as well as love, peace, and soul every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. You can follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know anybody going through that garbage, please pick up the phone and call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.